Hi, this is Mr. Eaton, and today we are going to be looking at Pythagoras' theorem, and the focus of the lesson is really to find the hypotenuse. But before we get into that, I just want to focus a little bit on labeling a triangle. So if this is our triangle, and we can see over here we have a 90-degree angle. The line that is immediately opposite, which is this one over here, and always the longest side, is actually called the hypotenuse, and we normally label it with a little c. The other sides we can label A and B, and obviously they're interchangeable, so this side could actually be labeled B and this side could actually be labeled A. Alright, so what does Pythagoras' theorem state? Well, it states that the square of the length of the hypotenuse, so this is this one over here, so the square of that is equal to the sum means adding together, the sum of the squares of the lengths of the other two sides. So if we add the square of that and we add the square of that, it should equal the square of that. And that's what the formula says over here. So c squared, which is the hypotenuse, is equal to a squared, which is one of the shorter sides, added to b squared, which is the other shorter side. So there we have it. We have the c squared being the longer side, which is this one over here, added to the two shorter sides, which is b and a. This is a nice little illustration of Pythagoras' theorem. If we have a look at our triangle, which is in over here, we have the hypotenuse, which is 5. We have one of the shortest sides, which is 3, and the other short side, which is 4. Now, if we square the 3, we end up with 9 little blocks, and if we square the 4, we end up with 16 little blocks. Now if we take all of these blocks and all of these blocks and we put them over here, we'll find that we end up covering all of these 25 blocks. Alright, well, let me prove it to you. Here's Pythagoras' theorem. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. So if I know that a squared, and I'm going to use 3 over here, so a squared equals 9, and b squared, which is the 4, so b squared is going to be 16, plus the 16, 9 and 16 equals 25. And what is the square of 5? The square of 5 is 25. So therefore, the hypotenuse, the square of the hypotenuse, is equal to the sum of the shorter side added to the other shorter side. So 25 equals 25, and all is good. Alright, well, here's a little practice question for you. Obviously, you need to make this a right-angled triangle, and this is going to be C, which is my hypotenuse. The length of this side I'm going to make 5, and the length of this side I'm going to make 12. What I need you to do is I need you to find the length of the hypotenuse. Now, to start you off, I will give you Pythagoras' theorem. So c squared equals a squared plus b squared. Right here, put the video on pause, come back when you're ready and see if you got it right. Alright, well, you should have saying like this. Well, a squared, I'm just going to call the 5 over here a, so I'm going to get 5 squared added to, and I'm going to call this side b, 12 squared, and I know that 5 squared is 25, and I know that 12 squared is 144, and if I add the two together, I should end up with 169. Now that's true for c squared. Now to get rid of the c squared, and we've been doing this in linear equations, we actually need to find the square root. So we go c equals the square root of 169, and the square root of 169 happens to be 13. Alrighty, therefore side C equals 13 units. Hope you got that one right. Right, well, here's another one for you to do. Let's make this a right-angled triangle to start with. This is side C, which is our hypotenuse. This is 5, and we'll make this side equal to 4. What I need you to do is find the length of the hypotenuse. Put the video on pause and come back when you're ready. Right, well, first things first, Pythagoras' theorem, c squared equals a squared plus b squared. What is the value of a? Well, I'm going to choose any one of them, so it's going to be, make it 5 squared plus 4 squared, and I know 5 squared is 25, and I know 4 squared happens to be, 4 4s are 16, well done, and adding the two together I get 41. As I said, that is true for c squared. Now we need to find what c is, so we go the square root of 41, and on our calculator we go the square root of 41, and we find that that is equal to 6.4031242, and so it goes on. However, we don't need all of those numbers, so what we're going to do is round it to 2 decimal places. So the answer here is going to equal 6.40. So the length of side C happens to be 6.40 units. Hope you got that right, and pretty much that's the end of working out the hypotenuse.